Hey everybody, Brian Davis here. Welcome to the next edition of the Toromont podcast series. Today we're going to talk about right-sizing your excavator. You're thinking, I know what size excavator I need. I'm just going to go out and buy one. Well, maybe you should put a little more thought into it than that. So the first thing, obviously, we want to talk about is make sure you understand the available size classes and what maybe some of their limitations are. So for instance, the small ones, the minis, these are the excavators that are up to 6 metric tons. Some people look at those and go, what's the point? Well, if you've ever tried to take a hand shovel and outdig a mini excavator, you'll see what the point is. In certain applications, they're very handy tools. Great for real tight spaces, small jobs, landscaping, sidewalks, etc. Very versatile machines, very fuel efficient, easily transportable. But they do lack in dig depth and lift capacity.
Brian, I just want to interject here quickly about the minis. I believe they actually have one of the smallest ones will drive through a standard door opening. Is that true?
That is correct.
Yeah.
It will go right through a door opening. You can actually use them. They use them in high-rise buildings. They'll drive them in, put them on the elevator, take them up, and use them for a hammer to break out concrete.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They have a place.
They do have a place. So the next class is the small hex class. That's the 7 to 10 metric ton range. Now, this is going to give you a little more dig depth than the minis, a little more reach, a little more power, and they'll still be great in tight spaces. Many of the models in this size class are available with a zero tail swing or a near zero tail swing. We call them a compact radius. The next size class is kind of your standard excavator where most guys play. That's in the 10 to 45 metric ton size class. Most common sizes in general construction and most of the applications that you find out there. Now, this is going to give you a lot more power, a lot more capacity. However, they're still fairly maneuverable and very versatile. They're a bit heavier working weight, which can start to lead into some transport considerations. You start to look into having to have a bigger float. If you have a tag float behind a dump truck, you maybe need an extra axle to carry a 20-ton machine. There are some considerations to keep in mind. Then you have the large size class. This is the greater than 45 metric ton machines. These are your most powerful choices for heavy construction, sewer and water, or mass excavation, mass truck loading, that kind of thing. Some considerations there. Obviously, oversized trucks and trailers are going to be required to transport these machines. They're going to have to be broken down to transport them. You're probably going to have to remove the counterweight, probably remove the stick in the bucket. They can't be moved all in one load. The other thing to think about with large excavators like this, you're going to require a fairly high utilization in order to really get your bang for the buck or your return on your investment. It is a big animal to feed, so keep that in mind when you start thinking, you know what, I need a 74-ton excavator to do this job. Maybe this job, but what about the next job? So, understanding the available classes, that's tip 1. Second thing to know your job requirements. Most jobs out there are bid based on the volume that needs to be moved. But multiple job requirements such as the dig depth, the reach, maybe the breakout force, the bucket capacity, lift capability of the machine, these are also important things that you need to consider when you're shopping for your excavator. Budget is critical. Is it more beneficial to rent a specific machine for a particular job? Or will your future work support that purchase?
That kind of dovetails into your ROI calculation. You know what? You might get a specific award on one. You need a big excavator. But if you don't have any work lined up or can't see the horizon needing it all the time, Brian.
That's right. Exactly. Great point, Jim. So the other thing on your budget, what's the maximum that you can afford to finance? And will the utilization for that machine support those payments? Again, and give you your desired return. It's all about the bottom line, guys. This may be the perfect excavator for this 6-month project. What's going to happen after 6 months? Do we have work for it? Maybe you should look at renting. Maybe a better option for you. Another thing to think about, job site conditions. Are you in wide open spaces where you're able to just get out there and swing and do whatever you want? Or you're in tight quarters. Maybe you're working on a road job where you have one lane where a swing radius becomes important. Now you're looking at a different style of machine. Can you meet the power and lift requirements of a job with a compact radius machine? Maybe the compact radius is the right machine for the space requirement, but it won't meet the lift capabilities. Things that you maybe want to think about. If you're into a job which is going to require a lot of what we call tramming or walking the machine around, a heavy tramming application, would a wheeled excavator maybe make more sense than a tracked machine? Something to think about.
That is an utilized asset. I see that all the time, Brian. There's huge value in those wheeled excavators.
And something that comes to mind, I know that comes to your mind too, is quarries.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of times in a quarry, you've got an excavator in there with maybe a hammer on it to go and break oversized rocks.
Cleaning ditches out.
Cleaning ditches out, doing whatever. It's a multi-tool. Maybe a wheeled machine would be a better choice than a tracked machine. Think about that. Another thing to consider, dig depth and reach. What depth and reach does your work typically require? If you're a sewer water guy and you dig 3 to 4 meter trench, is that what you're going to be continuing to do? Or if your business grows, will you go into 6, 7, 8 meter trench? What could you potentially require in the future? If your business isn't going to change, do you really need to get a machine that's going to go 7 meters deep if all you're doing is 4 meters? Think about that. Could a longer boom and a longer stick option today give you that depth and reach you might need tomorrow?
That brings up a good point, though, Brian. But if you want to go deeper, and you want more reach, that sacrifices bucket size.
It does. These things come into play.
Yep.
Absolutely. Lift capacity. What's the highest density material that you typically move? What lift capacity do you require for earth moving? Or material handling. Do you lift pipe? If you're a sewer and water guy, do you put pipe in the trench or manholes or stuff like that? Keep that in mind. What is your lift capacity going to be? If your business grows, again, how much more capacity would you require if you're going into deeper sewers, bigger pipes? These are things that you want to consider always, your lift capacity. Bucket capacity. And this goes back to one of our previous podcasts that Jim did on bucket choices matter. On excavators, what's the maximum material volume or density that you move? What bucket capacity is going to consistently move those volumes and give you a proper pass match? Remember, we talked about this in our pass matching podcast. If you're loading trucks with an excavator, you want to be able to efficiently load a truck in 4 to 6 cycles. Anything more than that is just a waste of your time. You got to take a look at different sizing your bucket or your excavator. So what size excavator best matches that bucket capacity? Think about that in your excavator selection. Know your job. Is something like a hydraulic attachment going to be required on your excavator? What kind of hydraulic flow might be required to do that kind of job? Or what kind of hydraulic flow do different work tools require? What kind of power are you going to need to optimize the performance of those tools? Sure, you can put a certain size hammer on a certain size excavator, but maybe the same hammer will go on one size smaller excavator because it has the same amount of flow. It'll do the same work. You don't need the bigger excavator to do it. Will you be able to use a quick coupler with your bucket choice in order to make quick tool changes? We talked about this again in that podcast that Jim did on bucket selection. If you've got a big job and you know your machine's going to be dedicated to one purpose for 6 months or whatever, you may want to knock that coupler off. But are you going to be able to efficiently load your trucks with a quick coupler and the correct bucket choice and then still be able to move to do different tool changes? These are things you want to know about when you're selecting the right size of excavator.
Brian, I was going to interject here quickly. One other thing that's very important in today's market is talking about technology on excavators.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have different grade control options with different manufacturers as well, but it's incredibly important to leverage that advantage for whether you're bidding the job and how you structure the job. The technology matters. It's what's going to differentiate you on the job site and your profitability.
That's a great point, Jim. Thanks for bringing that up. Technology is another key ingredient to selecting the proper excavator. Transportation. When you start thinking about excavator sizing, transportation comes into play. Do you have a trailer that's suitable to haul the excavator you want? If you want a 49-ton machine, do you have a trailer that can haul it? For the larger ones, larger machines, are you aware of any permit or licensing requirements in your area?
In today's age, it's been a little struggle to get those permits.
It's become, especially in Ontario, permits are hard to come by. Are there carriers in your area that would be capable of moving the machine for you if you don't have the truck and trailer that could do it? Can they do it at a moment's notice, or is it something you have to plan 2 weeks out? A big thing to consider, will your machine need to be broken down? We talked about this earlier. Do you need to remove the stick and bucket? Do you need to remove the counterweight? If so, that has to be done prior to transport, and then it has to be done at the other end to set up to do the next job. These are things that take time and cost money. If you can do the job with an excavator that does not need to be broken down, maybe that's a better choice. So think about transportation. And guys, finally, get some seat time. Once you've crunched those numbers and decided what the size is and what configuration you need in your excavator, talk to your dealer. You may be able to rent a machine, that model with that configuration, and try it out on several different jobs over a few week period to get a feel for, is it the right machine for my business? Or you may be able to get a short-term demo, usually around 30 hours or so, to try the machine out on a specific job. See if it works for you. The most important thing in choosing the proper excavator is to measure all of the options against what's going to add the most to your business. Get the best bang for your buck and the best return on investment. All right, guys, thanks very much.